Shadowkeep is by far the worst expansion campaign in Destiny 2, and it's not a debate. Say what you want about Curse of Osiris, but at least they had a beginning, middle, and end. As awful as it was, it had a structure. There was some kind of direction to where the plot was going. This campaign fails at almost every level, from its things happen plot to the boring gameplay and a story that leaves you with more unanswered questions than we started with in the worst way possible. Instead of asking myself thought-provoking questions about the state of the game's story or asking, what's next? I find myself with a single word on my mind that sums up this entire campaign pretty damn well. What? Hello and welcome to part 5 of my Destiny 2 campaign analysis series. This time we're looking at Shadowkeep and why it's shit. But I want to go a bit deeper, because while this campaign sucks, it feels similar to something like the prequels. A good story told poorly, which I'll explain later on. Anyways, let's get into it. Shadowkeep begins with a cutscene of Eris Morn walking in a cave on the moon. She touches a wall and activates something, causing a different wall to collapse with lights shooting out of this fresh hole. A red ghost thing forms behind her, like a real-life ghost, except they're not. A spooky ghost. Not the Destiny ghost. Yeah, anyway, a spooky ghost appears and we get a title card. Alright. Then we get another cutscene that adds a sexy establishing shot and some context. There's been a seismic disturbance on the moon. It's just a word salad for a hive doing some wild shit and you gotta shoot them until they're gone. But this cutscene does something, honestly, that felt a bit different. There was an actual sense of urgency in what was going on. There are multiple ships that fly in at the start. There are multiple players that fight alongside you. There are even stationary AI. I do have a couple questions though. This is the same location as the one from the original Destiny, so why the fuck is there a giant red castle here? We never saw this before. Did this just spawn out of fucking nowhere? Where did it come from? Also, you know you don't have to put this castle in the same spot as the Destiny 1 moon location. Why not make a new moon location with this giant castle? Again, this just adds more questions with no answers. Anyway, you kill a bunch of hive until they fall back. Apparently they're scattered because they haven't been able to find a new leader since Crota.
These hive are erratic, scattered.
They lack leadership. Crota's death left a void they have yet to fill. But the disturbance seems to have opened. They must be stopped.
Damn, that fucking sucks. Then you stand on some plates and kill the most annoying enemies in the entire Destiny series, and we find out that this seismic disturbance was caused by Eris when she touched the rock or something. We also get a name for this cool looking red castle. It's called the Scarlet Keep, which honestly, it's a pretty good name. Then we get to use one of those tanks. While they're far from my favorite video game vehicle, it's kind of fun and probably one of the best missions so far involving these tanks. You have to kill more of these annoying fucking shriekers, but at least you get to use the tank on it. After that thing is dead, we get to barge into the keep with the tank. I mean, we have to get out because the tank can't go any further. Fine. You actually did a good job for once, Bungie. You actually made a good tank mission, and now you have to blue ball me. What the fuck? Descending further into the tunnels and into the keep, we notice ghosts, like the actual ghosts, the spooky ghosts. These hive are not actually hive? What the fuck do you mean? Then we turn the corner and see a giant fucking pyramid ship like we saw in a teaser at the end of the Red War campaign, and some cool Destiny 1 looking concept art as well. It's a cool skybox, nothing new there. Anyway, so after your ghost starts bitching about your light being suppressed or something like that, you go through this huge energy field and, oh, okay, we gotta fight Crota from Destiny 1, but I guess he's a nightmare now. All right. And then Gaul appears and Fickrel. Wow. Awesome. I love fighting shit I've already fought before. Seriously, why are we doing this? Why can't we fight some scary hive abomination? Something that'll make my skin crawl. At least Curse of Osiris and Warmind gave us new bosses to fight. Why can't we have some spooky monsters like Golgoroth or Nokris? Something that's kind of messed up so they look, well, scary. Hell, why can't we have new hive? Like hive with new mechanics, similar to what we end up getting in the Witch Queen or Rise of Iron with the Fallen. Something that makes these hive, like, distinct from the normal hive. Like maybe give the thrall, like the thrall armor that they have, maybe like hit them or something, you punch them, the thorns on them like bounce off you or something and deal damage, or use those thorns again, so like when you throw a grenade and they explode, the thorns bounce off and hit other enemies. Like just something like that. I literally just thought of that right now. Why not do something like that? You could also make it so that the Fallen are stronger because they have stronger armor, and so you have to shoot certain parts of the armor in order to deal more damage. I don't know, like anything, just small things that can make these enemies stand out, because Destiny doesn't have a lack of enemies, it has a lack of variety in the fights. You could swap the models for the Vex, the Hive, the Fallen, and besides some smaller changes, there isn't a huge difference in how you fight them. Add some variety to spice them up a bit, instead of making Hive with red spikes, and that's it. Make those spikes play into the gameplay. Do fucking something. Just the expansion before this, Forsaken, added a whole new enemy race that actually plays different for once. Why can't you do that? Anyway, sorry about the rant. Let's get into the rest of the shitty campaign. After fighting copy-paste bosses, we get teleported by Eris to a balcony overlooking the pyramid ship. Sifting through her bullshit dialogue, she basically tells us that the pyramid ship was part of the darkness that caused the collapse, and that she doesn't know why it's there, so we're gonna break in to find out why. The copy-pasted enemies are justified by Eris telling us that they're remnants of our past, coming to haunt us. Now, I say justified, but it's not justified at all. They just needed a reason to explain it, otherwise known as a cop-out. Also, the red things like the spooky ghosts around Eris are apparently her friends from the first failed attempt to kill Crota, as mentioned in the trailer for The Dark Below. So I guess, you know, that's kind of cool. So now we have to do the tried and true tradition of finding out why the Hive are acting strange by doing monotonous shit in this new but not new patrol space. And it fucking sucks. So apparently the Hive are trying to draw in red ghosts or nightmares in a ritual to do something. Also, Eris gets attacked, so we gotta help her or something.
To finding a way beyond the pyramid's
Eris? Those screams. That's a Hive wizard.
But it's okay, she'll be at spawn and she's fine. So now you have to do patrol events in lost sectors. Wait. This is a campaign, right? Like the main story. Like, I'm playing the main story, right? Why am I doing this shit meant to waste your time in the fucking campaign? Okay, so in order to get into the pyramid, we have to obtain what's called Dreambane armor, which you obtain by doing these shitty essence quests and the next boring mission called Nightmare Hunts. They're like shitty strikes from Destiny 1 where you fight the bosses from Destiny 1 like Omnigul. Great, it's easy, and it sucks. Moving on. Next, we do a strike. And it's decent. There are some fun mechanics I like. Overall, it gives us a better look at the Scarlet Keep, and the boss arena is really cool, but the boss itself is literally just it's just a wizard reskin. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10 or so. After all that, we kill the wizard, and now we have to find some MacGuffin called the cryptoglyph. Whatever. We get some dialogue about how the light never escapes the pit, blah, 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 blah. Since when has this ever stopped us, like ever? So how long have the Hive had this artifact for? And why are they only using it now? Do I care? Not really. And we get another nostalgic callback to Destiny 1 by needing to stand on a plate and shoot at enemies and wait until the door opens. Eris tells you that her fire team from Dark Below, this is where they all died. I mean, RIP to them, I guess. Oh man, they must have been dog shit. Not only could they not complete Crota's End, but they couldn't get through these catacombs. Eris must have gotten shit luck in the LFG. More plate standing, and one amazing looking skybox later, we find our cryptoglyph, but it's caged off, and so we have to kill more bad guys. It's bog standard Destiny demi-boss encounter, nothing very wild or interesting. Once we grab the cryptoglyph, Eris won't pull us out and the room goes dark. Oh shit, these enemies are really hard to kill. Fuck, I gotta get out of here. So this was honestly unexpected. It was just a standard mission, and it instead took me off guard and made me actually have to try and flee. It was fun, and wait, you guys already did this in the Taken King. So once again, in typical Destiny fashion, not only are old bosses being reused, but also mission ideas. This shit is so garbage. Oh my fucking god. So we finally escape, and Eris's comms come back.
I'm sorry. The immense darkness of the pyramid kept me from you.
It say Tron Door to Darkness on the wall.
That explains everything.
What a clunky line. That couldn't have been delivered more unnaturally. Arriving back to camp, Eris tells us that the cryptoglyph isn't enough and that we have to now get 3 more pieces of armor in order to continue by completing 3 more nightmare hunts. Great, but before we can do that, we meet Ikora at the pyramid, and before she can get a handful of lines in, Eris comes strolling in with her dead fire team, stumbling around like she had way too many blue lagoons at the bar. So Eris has a schizophrenic meltdown and screams at the totally real ghost people. Don't worry, Eris, yeah, I see him too. Totally. Ikora lets Schizo Lady know that she has the Vanguard's resources at her disposal, and instead of launching a strike force at the pyramid or doing something, she gets us and only us to do boring missions and to go into the pyramid. Yay. Great. After getting all the armor and listening to another word salad speech from Eris, we finally get to enter the pyramid. After getting within a certain distance of the pyramid, it starts pulling us in, and what is assumed to be piloting this pyramid takes control of our ghost. This architecture is so much different from anything else we've seen in Destiny. It's very dark, simplistic, lots of sharp edges and not a ton of detail. It's definitely the most alien thing we've seen in Destiny in a while. This voice beckons us closer, these alien walls giving off a sort of soft, comforting light. As we move towards a red nightmare, light engulfs us and it's Gaul. Are you fucking kidding me? This boss is boring, somehow worse than the Red War Gaul fight.
The Red War saw so many lives lost. Saw the light taken away so easily.
I mean, he's not wrong. Now we fight Fikrul from Forsaken, the DLC from a year prior. Keep in mind, not only was Fikrul in the Forsaken campaign, but he's also in a strike called the Hollowed Lair. This isn't just double dipping, this is triple dipping. Come on, Bungie. Okay, this one is a bit more bullshit. The light left Cade, sure, but it left forcefully after Cade's ghost fucking exploded. Alright, come on, show me the last guy. It's Crota. This fight is fine, definitely better than the previous two. You pretty much just used the sword to kill him. It's literally just the raid encounter. Okay, yeah, he's also right about that one. Although, to be fair, every single one of them was defeated by Guardians of the Light, so... We then walk forward and what looks to be a womanly figure with a veil over her entire body. We then see an orb that looks like the one from Shadows of Evil, and then we get the final cutscene. Alright, let's break this down. We immediately, upon touching the orb, get teleported to the Black Garden from the vanilla campaign of Destiny 1. A Guardian who looks exactly like yours approaches you with an armada of pyramid ships behind them. They tell you that they hear your cries for help and that they will answer. Your Guardian asks who this thing is, and they tell you that it's not a friend, it's not an enemy, but instead salvation.
We are your salvation.
Nice clunky ass dialogue, by the way. You definitely didn't need to do another take or anything. At the time of release, this meant literally nothing to anyone except lore nerds. This is the ending of an expansion that you pay for. This is shit. This is the end of the first act of a story, and this is where it ends. Eris tells us that apparently this was all a trick and that we were used by the pyramid. Alright, bitch, sure. And so that's it. That's the entire expansion. This is a hunk of shit. We just spent 3 hours doing bullshit tasks and monotonous fetch quests, and the majority of the missions are reused strikes disguised as missions, and then those missions are reused as nightmare hunts. It screams lazy. This campaign is total shit in my opinion. It's actually worse than Curse of Osiris and Warmind because at least those missions were original. For all the shit I give Shadowkeep, the story, at least now with future context, is not totally fucking terrible at best, and though I'm going to be doing a lot of interpreting, I'm going to explain what the fuck this story is even about. Now, keep in mind, some of this could be wrong, and I don't really care. To make it brief, Shadowkeep is about the Witness trying to groom the Guardian into joining the darkness and become a disciple. First off, we need to actually earn our way into the pyramid and eventually fight past nightmares like Crota, Gaul, and Fikrul. In between, we're told how all these foes, although eventually defeated by the light, all showed perceived flaws and weaknesses in the light. Crota slaughtered thousands of Guardians. Gaul managed to capture the Traveler and deprive Guardians of their light. And Fikrul was one of the biggest catalysts for the death of Cade 6, and his inability to be killed by the light shows a weakness in the light. To put it simply, we're overcoming nightmares. It's being used as a test to see if we're strong enough. Upon defeating the nightmares, we're brought into the Black Garden, where the Witness, disguised as us, tries to convince us to join the darkness and become a disciple. Not using power, not using riches or glory, but as a solution to our cries for help, our salvation. We know this is in fact the Witness just based on the mannerisms and the doppelganger that they use. During Season of Arrivals, we fight against Savathun and her armies in order to communicate with the Witness, where he once again tells us that the light only holds death and weakness, while darkness holds power and strength. We're beckoned to Europa, where ancient power lies. During Beyond Light, we gain the darkness power of stasis, which literally has has the ability to stop users of the light in their tracks. It's incredibly powerful, and the soldiers of the Traveler and the light are slowly being transformed into wielders of the darkness and disciples of the Witness. During the Witch Queen, as the Traveler slowly loses faith in the Guardians and Savathun offers a plan to save it, the Traveler revives Savathun, grants her hive ghosts, and goes along with Savathun's plan to save the Traveler. After the Guardians kill Savathun and remove the Traveler from Savathun's throne world, the Witness's plans have been set in motion. If this was a game of chess, the Traveler would be completely fucked. Like, literally all that's left on the board is the Traveler, and maybe a few pawns. The War Mine stopping it from leaving, its fallback plan gone, and its soldiers slowly turning against it, and its ancient enemy that's been pursuing it for eons finally closing in, and it's our fault. The Traveler saw humanity as a chance to stand its ground and maybe defeat the darkness, but now that enemy that's been pursuing the Traveler is now inside it, and the final steps of its plan are being set in motion. And all the Witness had to do was offer us a few trinkets. The Witness has made us disciples simply by doing what the Traveler did. Even during the mess that is Lightfall, we get to the Veil and our ghost opens up a laser that shoots at the Traveler, allowing the Witness to go inside it. We've become disciples of the Witness, and my theory is that during the final shape, we're going to cause the destruction of the Traveler. We're going to fall into the Witness's trap and only realize it when it's too late. We end up getting an Evangelion type ending where everything has been changed and it's all fucked up. We'll see in a few months if I'm correct. And all of this setup started with Shadowkeep. While I don't think Shadowkeep is a good story, far from it, I think this wasn't a horrible place to start on paper. If the campaign was overall better written, I probably would be praising this campaign a lot more, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Shadowkeep is a terrible campaign with some cooler, long-term storytelling that has created the most interesting story in Destiny, since it's the only time we've had a story that's lasted past a couple DLCs and that will have a beginning, middle, and end, as much of a mess as it's been. Thank you all so much for watching. Apologies for the gaps in content. There's been a lot happening behind the scenes and multiple projects where they've been worked on and scrapped during this time. Things should be moving smoother and I should be finally uploading more content soon. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.